What's up, guys? This is my update video, and so let's get started. So one thing I did change with the body, this is an Arma Raider wing. I don't have the part numbers, and I apologize for not having part numbers. I will be looking those up and putting those in my next video. That way you guys can have all the part numbers for all the things I've gotten. So this went on relatively easy. I used the holes that were already pre-drilled, and when you match them up, try and get the holes to where they go through that frame that holds all this stuff on. It'll just secure better. And all it is just some screws and some lock nuts. And then I bent some Lexan in a 90-degree and just bolted them on. And this was because I was getting some nosedive, and I jump long, I don't jump high. So I was getting some nosedive, and I thought I'd try and get a bigger footprint with a little bit bigger wing, and use these to catch some of the wind, and it did the trick for me. Just an idea out there for you guys. If you're experiencing some nosediving and jumps, might help you out a little bit, because just the letting go of the throttle was a little bit too aggressive, or hitting the throttle was a little bit too aggressive, and it would, I didn't want to land on the rear end of the thing. So just an idea out there for you guys. Just to let you know, I tried a E-Revo wing, way too big. So Arma Raider wing, it's a good fit. All right, so let's do some tire choices. So these are Speed Treads Speedhawks, and these are a monster truck on-road tire. They are directional, and they only come in one offset, so you don't have to worry about the offset. They do have an insert because these are 17 millimeter. It will have an insert for the other size hex. So keep track of those things when you take the wheels off, if you get these. That way you don't lose them. So these are pretty good for if you want the truck to slide a little bit and still get some good grip. They're not the stickiest in the world, but they do wear. So if you're jamming on the throttle all the time, these aren't going to last as long as like Anacondas. So all right, so Anacondas, and this would be the rear offset for a Rustler, not the fronts, the rears. Yes, the rears. And they're sticky. They last a long time. The only problem I've had, I've been racing, so I've had the lip come out a little bit, or right here. You see, I've glued it, but I've had no problem since. Super grippy, super sticky. If you keep using the slipper, you're gonna pop wheelies with these things still. These you won't. And all in all, for an on-road tire, this is the best I've found so far. So great tire, long-lasting, sticky. And then these, I was looking for a little bit more grip on-road, and the cells are better than stock, what comes stock. And I do have the part number for these. These are Proline Dirt Hogs, part number 1175-12. So these are, I like these for off-road. All right, so next thing. So I've tried a center diff, and I've done it before in my rally, and it worked real well for on-road. Now, what's weird is that they suggest that you don't use it for on-road and only off-road use. And it comes with 100 weight diff fluid, okay? Now, I have never really raced Traxxas stuff off-road, because I've had associated stuff for off-road. You know, I've had a Techno short course truck. I've never really messed around on an off-road track with Traxxas, but this comes with a 100-weight diff fluid. What you see is what you get right here. This is what you get. And if you want to change the diff fluid, you just take them 4 screws out. Keep track of how the stuff goes back in. Don't just dump the stuff out and then forget how it goes back in. So I put 200,000 in it, and I was just doing some experimenting, and I put it on my Slash, my 4x4 Slash. All right, and these grip pretty good on concrete. I don't know if you know, nubby off-road tires, they like to grip on concrete, but at the expense of wearing them out. But with this in here, and this has a Tekin Pro 4 HD and an RX-8 ESC, like, the truck's slower because this is working. These are gripping, and there's so much torque going on these tires that this is acting like a loose slipper. So I haven't tried it on off-road yet, but I will say it works great on on-road. It helps you get smooth on and off the throttle. It helps with turning, smooth turns, especially with really grippy tires. You don't get that jumpiness out of it. So if you use like something like this, a sticky tire, with this, you won't really experience too many wheelies. And expect not to see the wheelies like you did when you got the truck stock. So if you're looking for a more controllable effect out of the vehicle, you will want to go with the center diff. And I've used these things on road, and I've never had an issue with them. So good product. If you're looking for a more controllable result. Excuse me, guys. Excuse my mess too. I've been crazy with work. All right, so first obvious thing is I went to a Hobbywing combo. Now, the Valenion was fine, but when I was getting up in the gearing, it was running pretty hot, and you know, I just don't like running my stuff real hot. So now I've run censored stuff in the past, only censored, and this is a non-censored combo. This is a Hobbywing Max 10 SCT ESC, 120 amp, I believe, and this combo is awesome. It is so close. It performs so close as the Valenion would act on 3S. Very good combo. This is a 3660 size 4600 kV motor, okay? But you will have to switch to 5mm bore shaft if you go to this. The smaller cans, I think you can get the regular size shaft, but these longer cans, they do better with heat. They get way more torque. The stator and the magnets are bigger. So, and guys, this is $130, okay? $130. You could go out and buy another Valenion. It's more expensive. $130, fantastic performance out of it. And I'm running 14 pinion and 54 spur, and it is outperforming how the Valenion would do with a 17 pinion and 54 spur. Okay, so if you're looking for a good upgrade that's on the little bit cheaper side and simple, this is it. All right, my Tekin setup in the Slash was, you know, like $300 something, and this is just like it. So and this wire here, this is just a sensor or a temperature sensor. It's not like a censored combo. So one thing with this ESC though, if you're consistently running 180 degrees or over consistently, they provide you with an extra double cat pack that you will need to attach on these wires. All you gotta do is cut a slit, like a 1/8 inch slit, and the board that the capacitor's on have a U shape. You just put them right in there and solder them right on, and throw some heat shrink tape over it or something, and you'll be fine. But just take a note of that if you're thinking about getting this combo. All right. What's the other thing? Oh, so I did go to different springs, and just for on-road use, and I did try a set of Revo springs, blue fronts and silver rears, and the Revo springs are just way too darn stiff. Don't use them for off-road, and if you're going to use them, I would suggest speed runs. I wouldn't even suggest them in drag racing because the car will bounce. You won't get any traction. You want the rear end to sag a little bit to gain traction. So, drag racing these things, TSM is kind of a necessity if you're using a slipper. Unless you get, the center diff with like 1,000,000 weight fluid in it, that might do it for you too, because I can launch straight with this, with no assists on the controller. And I use Spektrum, so that would be AVC assists, and if you like popping the wheelies, if you like it launching hard, stick with the slipper. So, all right. And this ESC has drag brake, brake percentage. It's got some voltage cutoff, all that fun stuff. So, good combo, great. So these springs are Jado and XO1 springs, okay? And I have a set of pinks for the rear that are a little softer. These are double blues, and these are double purples. If you want to keep this thing on-road, this is really good right here. The blues and purples. Jado and XO1 springs. Don't get the Revo springs, all right? Way too stiff. And again, I don't have the part numbers, but all you gotta do is go on Traxxas' website, and you'll find these in the Jado. Look up the Jado, and you'll find these. Okay. Now, like the blues, it says the double blues have the same rate as the white springs with the double blue. That's not true. I tested them. These are like a 2 something rate, and these are like a 2.6. And you can't get that kind of stiffness out of white spring. Okay, so these work fantastic. All right, and by the way, I use 60 weight and 50 weight in the shocks. 50 in the rear, 60 in the front. Okay. I did, like I said, I've been playing with some slippers, and the original slipper works fantastic. I just don't like popping wheelies and shit, so that type of stuff's not for me. So I tried the center diff, it worked great. I'm testing this out. This is an HR Hot Racing slipper. Not many people use these or really even heard of them, but all it is a full metallic pad slipper clutch. Okay, a full metallic pad, and it's a pretty big pad and easy to put on. They do give you a little cylinder that takes the place of the spring. You can use that if you want to lock it down, but I didn't. I just used a spring, and so far it looks like it's working great. I haven't raced with it yet, so we'll see how it goes. But another slipper I did get, and it's in my slash now, so you won't be able to see it, but here's the part number for it. Okay, so this part number is not this slipper, all right? It is not. This is the slipper that's in my slash, and it looks a lot like the slipper that comes with this truck, okay? But the difference is, here, I'll read you this part number real quick. TRX15GP, okay? And it's a hot racing slipper. All right, so the difference in this pad, okay, the original slipper that came with the truck has good pad, those aluminum pads, and they can fit 3 of them. All right. Hot Racing also sells a larger aluminum pads that you can put on there as well. But if you get this slipper, all right, this will have locations on the slipper where you can fill the whole slipper with pads. So you'll have pads all the way around, okay? And you'll want to use the enlarged and the regular size pads, okay? So, and you can use 3 aluminum and 3 metallic, or you can use all aluminum if you want. But it's a good slipper. If you like putting big monster truck tires on here and your slipper cuts keep slipping, even though it's locked down, this is a good option for you, okay? And just remember that you'll want to get the large enlarged aluminum pads from Hot Racing, and then you can also put the regular size pads on there with them, so it's got spots for all the way around. And good product. I've used it on several vehicles, including a Revo, so it's a good product. I like it. And just a little suggestion for you guys. I wasn't seeing much out of the black anti-roll bars, so I went to the silver and I started seeing some differences. So just a little side note there. The only breakage I've had so far, I did break the steering servo. So, and I can't see this. You won't be able to see it on the camera, but this steering servo, it's a Savox, and it's a SC-1251. High torque, brushless, good servo, metal gears obviously, and it's a little shortened, so it saves you some space a little bit. But it is like $70, so you don't have to get it. You can just buy the upgraded gears from Savox to put in the 2075 Traxxas servo. It's like $13, so you can do that if you don't feel like spending that much money on a servo. So but and the drive shafts have done well keeping up. I am seeing a little bit of stretching, but nothing even close to what the Slash ones did. So I'd like to think this thing is pretty darn bulletproof right now. And if you're going out there and beating the crap out of this thing, that's something totally different. I do race it very hard, and there is some beating and banging, but I'm not learning how to backflip and crash in this thing every minute. You know what I mean? So keep that in mind. Some of this stuff you might not want to get if you're bashing. You really don't need these if you're bashing. You know what I mean? It's not a necessity. The GTR shocks are not a necessity if you're bashing. You're looking for cost-effective stuff. So if it breaks, you don't have to spend a bunch of money to replace it. So the steering or the bell crank's working up, doing very well, holding up. And again, I love the aluminum bell cranks because you can tighten the spring and you won't get so much play in the steering. This is one of the advantages of getting it, but you can break your servos if you're not careful, if you keep hitting stuff with the front wheels. And that, open wheel is prone to doing that. So if you're not experienced with them, try the servo saver for a while till you get a handle with it, and then you can go to something different. So, but just to let you know, guys, I do race this on an on-road oval, and this in a GT class that is kind of an open entry. it's more for beginners to get into the hobby without spending a bunch of money on spec racing, you know, like VTA or something. You know, these darn things, just to get a new chassis is $400. So, and I've been racing in it because it's been dying a little bit, so we're trying to keep it going. Usually I don't race in it. I race VTA and like Super Truck and, you know, 17.5 touring car and like pan car. That's what I usually race. So, but guys have been bringing touring cars out there in the GT class with 8.5 turn motors in them. And where we race, if you're under 5 seconds a lap, you're cruising pretty good. And when I take my touring car out there, I'm running like 4.6s, but I ran consistent 4.9s with this type of setup on oval. Okay, if you guys have a GT class, if you know where to race and you have a GT class, this would be totally legal to race in it. This is all 10 scale, 2S lipo, and man, this thing hauls butt. I'm catching up to the 8.5 turn touring cars on the straights. Obviously, turnings, they're going to have an advantage, but you know, if you're looking to get rock solid heavy duty speed out of this, this is a good blueprint to follow. You know, you don't need the crazy good steering servo. You know, some of the stuff you don't need, you know, but you know, like if you're running the Valenion motor, you might want to look at this mount right here, because it does help drop temps. You know, certain little stuff like that, it helps prolong the life of some of your stuff. And you know, you don't have to get it, just look into it. The only thing I would suggest is like this combo. You know, everybody's willing to go out and get more power and spend the money to get more power. This is a very, very good bargain right here. Very good. I don't really see anything else worth it at that price range. There is nothing else. I mean, this thing does as good as a Tekin system that's $300. So, great buy. I'm really happy with it. And hats off to Hobby Wing. I've been using their stuff a long time. So, you know, I haven't changed diff fluid in the front and rear yet. I am about to go to about probably like 100,000 in the front, and I'll probably keep the rear the same because it seems a little loose. It'll be good for turning, but I want the front to pull more, so I'll try that. Oh, just another side note, guys. I think I might have said this in my other video. I did not use the Techno drive shaft because it was too short, and I weld, so I thought about shortening it and welding it, but it's just too much work, too small. So, you know, I wouldn't really mess with it, guys. I think Hot Racing or STRC sells a thicker drive shaft that will mate with these ends right here, so that's another option. You know, if you guys are looking for something a little bit more heavy duty there. So again, I hope all this stuff helps you guys in deciding what you would like to buy for upgrades for these things. Everything I got here, I do look at prices before I buy them. Okay, I like Hot Racing a little bit better than STRC for some things because for one, I like the color, and the prices seem a little bit more reasonable sometimes. I would have got a Hot Racing belt crank, but it seems like they're out of them a lot. They get some in, then they're out of them. So I just went with STRC. I mean, I could use, what's that other brand? They're a lot cheaper, but they don't use very good aluminum. Integy. Try and stay away from them. I've broken quite a few aluminum parts from Integy, and when they open, or when I see the crack and I pull and I break it all apart, there's holes, pinholes in the aluminum. That means there's air trapped in that aluminum. It's not very good grade aluminum. You know, the less aluminum that's in there, the weaker it is. So, but you know, if you're bashing, you know, a lot of aluminum parts you probably don't want to use because you're going to end up breaking them. So, you know, again, I put aluminum parts where I think they're going to help, not hinder it. I mean, I could get aluminum arms. I can get aluminum. Hot Racing is selling or is about to come out with aluminum shock towers. I'm not going to use that stuff because I know at some point I'm going to take a hit, and what am I going to do? $20 some for one? You know, no. You know, if RPM comes out with something, I'll probably go to it. But this stuff is working pretty good. You know, I think they did a really good job with this truck. So I hope you guys like what you see, and leave any comments if you have any more questions. And, you know, again, I'll get them part numbers out. So, all right, go out and have fun with RCs, guys.